employment policy for permanently employing our young people? Which industries are gainfully employing our young people on a full-time basis? What opportunities exist for career development and advancement? Let your voice be heard and join the conversation as we continue to tap into our experts at home and abroad to explore concrete and practical economic and national development opportunities and to inspire hope for our brothers and sisters. Wednesday, March 9th, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Dominica time. Roots Connections on Cue with Dr. Simone Matthew and our guests, Mr. Simeon Joseph, Mr. Clement Masler, Miss Whitney Melina, and Mr. Dunstan Maggie Peters. Only on Q95, the big station.
We've been trodden from.
The Dominica Public Service Union provides professional services to members and represent their interest in all areas of industrial relations. The DPSU is created in providing a range of other services, which include instant cash facility, financial assistance for education and training, gymnasium and preschool day care facility, group medical insurance, and the insurance of membership cards, which provides access to discount benefits. We also provide to the public comfortable, air-conditioned and well-equipped facilities for conferences and receptions. Our mini-mart service caters for the needs of our customers. The DPSU restaurant serves delicious meals and snacks on a daily basis and also provides affordable catering services. C&S, a subsidiary of the DPSU, provides security and cleaning services and can be contacted at telephone number 440-5080. The Dominica Public Service Union is indeed number one. The Dominica Public Service
I shall for my living, and I shall give you adieu. Don't spend your money on flowers.
Well, a pleasant good evening to you all once again. I hope that everyone is doing well. It's a wet Thursday. Wednesday.
Yes.
And what am I talking about?
Tuesday already.
So it's a wet Wednesday.
Yes.
And we are happy to have our listeners, our viewers here with us this evening. We look forward to a very interesting discussion. And like anything else, or as we always do, we start by expressing our sympathies to those who have passed on. And Brother Steve, this evening we cannot forget our brother Austin Bell, working as in the veterinary department.
Yes.
And many Dominicans will remember, or farmers will remember, when there was anything wrong with their animals, whether it was a sheep, a pig, a rabbit, whatever it was, that livestock, that Brother Bell would be at their service.
Mm-hmm.
And it is very sad that he has passed, and we want to extend our sympathies to his wife and his 2 children. And very young, he was not of retirement age yet.
As yet, no.
Yeah, but he had to take a medical board off, and sadly he has passed. Also, another long-time member of ours, and someone who worked in the public service for a very long time, Sister Rose Gallion. And
worked in my ministry for a long time.
Yes, very, very pleasant person, always smiling, always greeting you with a nice smile.
Yes.
And Rose has passed. And we
Yes.
want to extend our heartfelt sympathies to her family as well. But let's see, are you aware of any?
Well, not
Anybody else?
specifically, but I want to join you, brother, later in expressing condolences to the friends, family, and colleagues, because a number of colleagues were very close to some of these. These two public officers. I knew Ms. Galia very, very close. She was our executive officer at the Ministry of Social Services, or what we call sports culture, community development now. So may their soul rest in peace, brother, later.
All right, well, Steve, thank you so much. And Brother Steve, we heard of the death of the leader of Morgan Heritage.
Oh,
Yeah, so let me just play this one
of his,
being
yes.
done by him.
Yes.
And that is in memory of all those who have parted this life.
Standing in his glory, commanding all mankind be still. He said, hear my voice and do my will. Take up your cross and walk with me. So said this man from Galilee. He said, I'll be there, so have no fear. He said, I'll be there, so have no fear.
Said he gave up his life so we can be saved and live in the Father's everlasting light as he did.
Take up your cross and walk with me. So said this man from Galilee. His voice was heard over valleys and mountains, saying, I'll be there, so have no fear. He said, I'll be there, so have no fear.
Standing in his glory, commanding all mankind be still. He said, hear my voice and do my will.
Take up your cross and walk with me. So said this man from Galilee.
I saw his light from over yonder. It humbled me within. Oh, it humbled me within.
See the Son of Man with a voice much louder than rolling thunder.
Rolling, rolling.
And his presence causing the earth to tremble. Standing in his glory, commanding all mankind to be still.
Be
To
still.
hear his voice, do his will, and take up your cross and walk with me.
With me.
So said this man from Galilee. Said, take up your
All right, very good,
Yes,
very,
yes.
very beautiful song.
Good time to take up your cross, eh?
Yes, man, especially
Yes.
in those days, Brother Steve. My friends, this evening we have a very interesting discussion, and we are just building on the conversation, or the discussion rather,
Yeah.
that we had last week, Brother Steve. And this evening our topic is suggested framework and activities to enhance the political, economic, and social prospects. So we are looking at the framework and activities that will enhance the political, the economic, and the social prospects
Oh, Dominica.
of
Yes.
Dominica.
Yeah.
We have a lot of challenges, we have a lot of problems, we are looking at things, and this evening we invite people to call in and to make some positive contribution to the discussion. But let's see, we are almost 45 years since attaining political independence.
Yeah.
And we have to be honest and to ask ourselves, are we satisfied that we have achieved enough during those 45 years? Can we boast that after 45 years we have some signature industries, sustainable industries that really assist Dominicans to take care of themselves, to provide for themselves, to, live comfortable? Can we say that after 45 years? We had the banana industry, which is no more. Right? That is gone, Brother Steve.
Yes.
We had some agro-processing to some extent that has gone away. And the list goes on and on and on. We depend very, very on the CBI program,
Yes.
which we have always said is not sustainable. Anything could happen, and that program is gone. Well, what do we do? Over the years, did we really use the CBI funds to invest in sustainable programs and projects like agriculture, like our like agro-processing,
Yeah.
Human resource development, and the list goes on and on and on. But I will speak to those things in a little while. But Brother Steve, let me give you an opportunity
Yes.
to comment.
Yes, sure. Thank you, Brother Leighton. Let me say good evening to all listeners again. I hope that we have rectified our access in the north of the island, our listenership, as I know they've not been hearing us from the north of the island, especially if you do not have internet and you listen via transistor radio. But it's a very important subject, I think, building, as you said, on some of the topics we've been having. And yes, the union does have something to say about the framework that we should have for our own political, social, and economic prosperity in Dominica. But I want to even go back before independence, because I think we have to first recognize what we have. And before we had even attained adult suffrage or independence, long before the systems that we now use, we had the land. We had our natural resources. We've always had Dominica, and what defines Dominica. It's rugged terrain, our water, our forest, our people, our natural resources, be it aggregate, so the stones that we now turning into aggregate, and sand that is exported that we're not capitalizing on, has been there with us from time immemorial. And our people, the resilience and resourcefulness of our people. And I think that's where it begins. It begins with an appreciation for our natural heritage, our cultural heritage. And how do we harness these resources? How do we harness the potential of our people? and capitalize on the opportunities that the wider Caribbean space, the wider global space provides us to thrive in various industries. And I think that is the conversation we need to have. And I know we are not naive. Most governments have to confront global policy, either set by the WTO or the IMF or the World Bank. And so we kind of pigeonhole our programs to suit. And so these days, we have to deal with crisis, either, shocks that we have to deal with, either climate or other shocks that affects the global economy. And the whole concept now is, how do we build back better? How do we build back better? That build back better concept that is now framed in the resilience agenda. And so you hear a lot of talk about present vision for Dominica is to become the first climate resilient country in the world. Well, later I'm sure we'll interrogate that a little later. But you are right that we are people on a journey, and we've come through hardship, slavery, colonization, independence, and we seem to have attained political independence, but we're far away from economic independence. And how do we carry all our people forward? Not some of our people, ensuring that we leave no one behind, ensuring that we do not remain politically immature, that we use our political process to ensure that we achieve our economic and social development goals. And that is us as Dominicans. And then we capitalize on the global framework. So whether it's the Sustainable Development Goals, the 17 of them, or the Paris Agreement, or the Sendai framework, or whatever frameworks that is guiding us, how do we ensure great participation of all our people, be it the opposition, civil society, the trade unions are key in that process. Business is important. But brother, I will say a little bit about the present macroeconomic framework that we have, or our major plan that we call the Climate Resilient and Recovery Plan, that seems to set out the framework of where Dominica needs to go to 2030. If you read the document, part of the document speaks to the process involved in developing the document. Can you tell me, Brother Lita, were you part of any process representing our union to inform that plan?
Mm-mm.
Right. But we are a critical stakeholder. We are the primary union in Dominica representing public sector workers. And if that process is to be participatory, then you have to represent the voice of labor.
Correct.
You must ensure that the plan captures our aspirations, our dream, because it's about the people of Dominica. And so it's not a government plan. It's supposed to be a national plan. And so I think results and products is as important as process. The process by which we engage to ensure that we are capturing the aspirations, the ideas. All the ideas cannot be in the hands of the politicians who are elected to form the executive. It has to be a very broad-based participatory process that then gains ownership of the population. So, but later on, we begin to make suggestions on how we can enhance the use of the CBI program, a program that was started under the Freedom Party government and continued under the United Workers Party government, and it's now under the Labour Party government. It's Dominica's program. So it means we should be able to suggest how we can improve that program to ensure it's more sustainable. And this is why you've been saying that the money, a large portion of it, must be targeted in key sectors to ensure greater sustainability and that many more Dominicans benefit from that program. And I think that is where it begins. It begins with looking at how do we build on our natural resource without destroying the environment, and to yield the kind of results that improve the quality of life for our people and the ability to withstand crisis and rebound from those crises during recovery. And I dare say, resilience is not something new to Dominica. I believe the hardships alone we've gone through is experience that suggests that Dominicans are a resilient people. So this is not a new thing. I mean, there's a buzzword in the air, but Dominicans band their waists and recovered after Hurricane David through Kudme and community spirit and you know, helping hands and harnessing the support that we get from outside and rebuilding the country. All right? It is after Hurricane David we see the agricultural sector flourish in the 80s to bringing in, you know, the kind of foreign exchange in 1988, 89 in the millions, hundreds of millions from bananas. So we've been there, we've done that. But how do we learn from that experience and then reinvest those lessons in other sectors and expand those sectors using new approaches and new strategies? Well, later.
Well, I think we have unlearned, if there is such a word. Because for those of us who are old enough to remember what happened after Hurricane David, and when we look at the agriculture industry, Brother Steve, there was expansion in the agricultural sector.
Yeah.
You had all sort of projects. Coconut, which was, I think it was the Canadian, what is it called, cedar?
Yes.
Yes.
The coconut rehabilitation program.
You had citrus.
Yes.
You had people getting involved in ginger.
Mm-hmm.
You had pepper.
Root crops, yes.
Root crops, I remember all those things, right? Right now, you want plants, citrus plants,
Yeah.
and you cannot
You
get
can't
that.
find it. Pears.
And not only that, these things are so expensive.
Oh,
An orange plant, a
Yes.
citrus plant, is $25.
$25.
Buying from the private people.
Or $10 from the government system.
You
You can't find.
No, you cannot find that. No, I think it is 15 from the government.
Yeah.
And depending on how many you buy, you get it at 10, something.
But maybe in
like
your
that.
area, but in my area.
No, right now they do not have. But I'm saying when they
Yes,
have,
yes,
yeah,
yes.
yeah. That's how
Yeah,
it
yeah.
is. Yeah. The question you raise about participation is very important.
Yeah.
In a little country like ours with 70,000 people, although I doubt we have all that now, you cannot leave out anyone in planning.
That's right.
Whether it's the trade union, as you said, whether it's the opposition and civil society, they have to be involved. Because at the end of the day, what we want, Brother Steve, is success in whatever programs and activities, national programs and activities that you're coming up with, right? And you have to extend invitation to people. If they do not accept your invitation, let it be known. Let the public know that they did not accept.
Yeah.
And that applies to everybody, the trade union, whatever, the political parties, whatever. But at the same time, you should not just invite people because you want to make a show, You have to ensure that at the end of the day, people's recommendations and suggestions are taken into consideration. Yeah? Because you have said it right. No good thing, no information stays in the head of one person.
That's right.
Right? And people have to understand, Brother Steve, there are people who are more knowledgeable in certain fields, in certain areas, in certain disciplines than other people.
Yeah.
And you cannot leave them out, no matter where they happen to be. Right? Why, for example, would somebody view the trade union as being anti-government? That is not so. Why is sometimes every recommendation that you make is viewed as if you're against the government?
Yeah.
You said something about the resources, but Steve, how many times, how often do we stop and think of the water that we have?
Pour into the sea.
That is something that just pours into the sea and doesn't deplete at all.
That's right.
I mean, you look at water just flowing into the sea, and the volume of water
That's right.
does not decrease.
Yeah.
What have we done about that?
Yeah.
Right? Shouldn't, let's say, the WASCO
Of course.
have a program where they can export water?
Of course.
With the departure of Kubuli or Dominica breweries, what has happened to make sure that we continue? But when you go to the supermarkets, you see water coming from all over the place,
world.
all over the world.
Yeah.
And some of it is seawater,
Of course.
drinking.
Processed water.
Processed water, right? Our fertile land, right?
Yeah.
Anything you plant in this land will grow. All seeds will germinate. Our herbs, Brother Steve.
Yes.
You drive and you see the herbs all over the roadside.
Yeah.
What have we done? Right? Our fresh fruits and other agricultural produce. This is good for agro-processing.
Of course.
And we do not have an agro-processing plant
in
Dominica. Right? And it's not a matter of just blaming government, but what about the millionaires who are sitting there
in Dominica?
Their
bank accounts.
Their bank accounts are so fat.
Yeah.
And they are not investing.
That's right.
They are not creating employment and opportunities for others. Right? We need these people to come forward so that they can vulcanize our economy. Right? Are we not concentrating too much on building of hotels from the CBI funds and forgetting other areas? So we need to look at those things. Let us invest in agriculture. Let us invest in transportation so that we can carry our transport our agricultural produce throughout the region. Right? What are we doing to curtail crime in this country? Right?
Yeah.
What opportunities are we creating for the young people? Why can't we go back to what existed at Londonderry in the 70s?
Yes.
With the Londonderry camp.
Training camp.
Why can't we go back to something like that so that many, I'm not saying all, because some people, no matter what you do for them, they are caught in their bad ways.
Right.
But at least we will be able to minimize
skills development.
Right, skills development.
Yeah, skills development.
You understand?
Yeah, two critical areas, brother.
Very critical.
Education and skills development. Because I think while education is key to economic prosperity, I think it's a key to unlocking potential. You cannot focus only on academics. I mean, there has to be great emphasis on skills development, because this is the area you can really see young people innovate and use their creativity. And everyone may not be able to graduate at the top of their class or become a scientist or doctor, but you could have young people who can become excellent carpenters, excellent tilers, painters, in the construction industry, agricultural technicians, whatever areas. You give them skills. What we saw after Hurricane Maria was a need for carpenters, tilers, builders, masons, just name it, in electricians. So it means instead of having to import those skills, especially when you end up with a crisis, let us build that capacity here.
What it means, Steve, is that we just do not learn.
Yeah.
We just do not learn, right? Because after Maria, we had an opportunity to build the public works department. Garage better.
And equip them.
Yes, and equip them.
Yes.
And you have a relationship, if you want, with the Dominica State College, where we would have a lot of people coming to the public works and learning all kind of skills, mechanical,
absolutely,
auto painting and body work, all those kind of things.
Yeah.
Right? And then
That department at the State College is now in need of major repairs.
it's exactly.
Yes, I see
exactly. We had a
somebody
caller.
trying-
I was about
but
to.
people still have
Yes,
to
caller.
call
Please
back.
call back. Once I see
so
the indication, we will take your call. Yes, and we are losing. Not we have lost. We keep on losing so many opportunities, brother Steve. All right, I think we have the caller. So let me take the call. Caller, good evening. Thank you so much for calling.
our early bats woman,
Good evening.
not hearing. You hearing?
Oh, Afi.
Oh,
Yes, I'm hearing it. But I see something's wrong with you.
Maybe.
Yes.
It's very low.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Not even coming through.
Right.
Cost $53 million to be built.
53 million.
In range development,
Okay.
each walked away with $30 million.
Wow.
So that makes for a total of $113 million.
Yes.
But there's a balance of some 74 million that has never been accounted for.
Mm-hmm.
These passports were sold, the revenue was generated, it was reported. In fact, the data was actually confirmed out of depositions made in a federal court in New York City, where a third party who was part of the deal with Range sued the two principals of Range because they didn't pay him his share. So, my brother, and that is just one example of the fact that there is money around, and that money is public money.
Correct.
We later on discovered that the money was not placed in the consolidated fund, but it was generated by the sale of a publicly owned asset. And I ask you, gentlemen, when you sought for a wage increase and a rate increase, etc., did your request come up to anything like $30 million?
Not at all. Not at all.
Absolutely not, Thomas. I know, because I've been listening to your program constantly, and especially when you're in negotiations and so on. So something has happened to divert available funds, public funds, diverted away from the pockets of the public servants of this country. And that is criminal. But it gets to the heart of the matter you guys are talking about, which I'm so glad that at least your organization is alive and bringing these matters out. The question of investment in agriculture. I remember a few years ago when Mr. Whitnell Louis, prominent farmer, made a declaration on a program that he was involved in, the Farmer's Cry. When asked, how much money would it take, Mr. Louis, to turn agriculture around? He said $200 million. People said, wait, Papa, where are we getting that kind of money? Haven't we lived long enough, gentlemen, the three of us, to know that somewhere over the last few years, billions, not millions, billions of dollars were generated from the sale of passports that did not appear in the consolidated fund. And what Mr. Louis was saying was actually bang on target. So that in fact, if the investments had been made, and this is prior Maria, prior Erica, when those storms came around, the feeder roads, which allow farmers to get to their place of work, which is their farms, those feeder roads, which today, over 4 years after Hurricane Maria, remain impassable, because not even a bobcat was sent to clear those roads. So Mr. Louis had made the point, if we had properly serviced our roads, maintained the drains, done repairs, improved the surface and so forth, it meant that after a storm, it would be so much easier to get in there, clear the road, and recommence production. So all of this is just to support the case you're making is a case for effective management. And Thomas, you just made the point a while ago when you said, you need a level of competence in respective fields as per the demands of the position. You don't ask your carpenter to wire your house. And at the same time, you don't ask your electrician to build your septic tank and soak away. You match the skill to the task at hand. And I would submit that at the bottom of all these anomalies and contradictions that continue to plague us is two issues. One is the issue of effective management in leadership, and two, a painful silence on the part of the rest of us in society, who even when we see that things are not going well and we understand why, we remain silent. Because we've been intimidated into silence, believing that the people we gave a job to run our country on our behalf have now become our masters, so we must not get them vexed. You were just making the point. Every time you make a recommendation, Thomas and Steve, people think you're against the government. But that's not the case. On water, I'll just end here. On the matter of water, in 2011, a company in which I am involved made a proposition to the finance minister. We made that proposition after he called me and asked me to come and see him, because he had just said to Barbados that he would be prepared to actually provide water and fruit and vegetables to Barbados, etc., etc. He called me. We went in. I explained to him in the presence of Reggie Ostry, Colin McIntyre, Steve Ferrall, the manager of Dowasco, Mr. Etinoff. I explained to them the problem of selling Dominica's water, which is running into the sea every day, is that the people who need the water, they don't have any way to receive it. Yeah. There's no link pipeline. You see, like how when the fuel ships come with gasoline and so on, they anchor out, they run a line, and the line hooks up and goes straight into the fuel tank farm. It's now, at Canefield, and when Petrocarib came in, they built one down at Jimmet.
That's right.
Only one island has that capability for water. One! And it's the little island of Anguilla, which has a capacity where if you arrived with a barge of water, 1 million gallons, you can connect it up just like the fuel tankers connect up to the lands to the fuel tank farm, and it will go straight into their storage. One! None of the other islands. So our proposition to the government at that time, through the Minister of Finance, was let Dominica invest in building those tanks in the islands that need water. You see, like how ESSO came and built their own tanks, Shell came, NP came, and they all built their own fuel tanks because they have something to sell. But they cannot deliver it because you do not have the facility. So they built the facility, and they bring the fuel and put it in their fuel tank farms. That was the model, is the model. And we proposed I must say, the meeting accepted the logic, but that's 2011. You had an election in 2014, at which time I thought that it would have been a perfect opportunity for a government seeking to be re-elected to actually break ground in that regard. But 2014 came and went. 2019 came and went. And my brothers, there is a severe shortage of water in all the islands around us. They need water. Fortunately, there appear to be now some people interested in putting the finance up so that those facilities can be built in those islands that need water, so our barges can leave Dominica and go in the dead of night even, and just keep putting water in fuel tanks, in water tanks that are ours. And so it is from there you do your sale. But if you need a caliber of common sense and knowledge to make those things work. And I believe, sadly, we keep putting people in public office, in management and decision-making positions who don't bring that talent to the table. As a matter of fact, most recently, you had a situation where somebody who was totally ineligible to contest a by-election because he was a full-time paid public servant. And he was still a paid public servant when he campaigned, when he contested, and he won the election improperly, in violation of public procedures, protocols, and rules. So let us be clear. Let us be clear that the problems we face are not insurmountable. We have identified the problems. We have people with the skills and talent to solve it. But for some reason, there's a deafening silence in Dominica anytime somebody like you guys or like me or anybody like raises those issues, because they take it as a criticism as opposed to being a recommendation. I rest my case on that, and you guys continue your discussion of these issues. And don't let anybody tell you this, that is not for the Public Service Union. That is your primary business, because it concerns the livelihood and welfare of your membership. Good evening, gentlemen.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Very good contribution. But let's see, before we come in, let me take another caller. Caller, good evening, and thank you so much for calling. Please go ahead.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Gentlemen, the point that Afi made there is such a critical point. And the fact that things have degraded to the point where not even one bottle of water, is Dominica selling one bottle of water to anywhere these days? Not even to its own citizens. We are importing bottled water.
Yes.
Even our dear white or Kubuli beer is being made outside the country with some other country's water. How far do we have to go, gentlemen? Good evening.
So is that really Dominica water? Dominica beer?
That's it.
It just carries the name, but it's not. If the water is not Dominica's water,
but
the beer cannot be
4
Dominica's.
years after Maria, a quick plan to rebuild or relocate the brewery should have been a priority.
But that's my problem. My concern
that's
is
a simple matter.
You're not hearing anything.
Nothing about it.
You're not hearing that any approach has been made to the owners of Kubuli.
Yeah.
So that you'll offer them concessions and so on.
That's it.
And ask them to come back.
That's it.
Maybe to relocate, if not in the same place, but to relocate elsewhere and so on and so forth.
But Afi made a point on capacity. It's capacity and its integrity, because you have persons who govern with deceit. They say one thing with their mouth, but do otherwise. So you may come to the table with a brilliant plan. It depends on who comes to the table.
All right.
so that's another issue altogether.
All right. Caller, good evening. Thank you for calling.
Good evening, Mr. Letter. Good evening, Steve.
Hi, my dear. How are you?
All right, thank you.
All right.
I passed your way today, but you were in a meeting.
Every day's meetings.
I know. You had two good callers a while ago. There two great points they made, especially Mr. Afimati. And I'm listening.
Great.
Okay, all right.
Lovely.
Yes, that's still good. Just
Yeah.
to see that, you know.
You're on. That's
All
good.
right. We have an overseas call. Good evening. Thank you for calling.
Gentlemen,
Ah,
Mr. Steve and Junior Nathan, how you doing?
We are doing well. How are you?
good, we're good.
I'm good, my brother.
Hey.
Every day above ground is a good day.
Amen.
Whether I'm snotty nose or nothing, whatever in my life, most of all, that's what you give thanks for being alive. To live another day. But brother, I just listened to Mr. Atherton Martin.
Yep.
Great contribution as usual.
Yep.
And he gave a map to the government, and I've heard it before with that exact same thing. It's a roadmap how you develop a water service to your neighbors and an indigenous plant that supply to the island and not just your neighbors. And it's $1 billion business, drinking water. I tell you right now. Matter of fact, I just had to buy me a case of water a while ago, pay $7 for because I'm a club member of the Costco wholesale. But the point I'm making is we are lost. There was a guy stood somewhere and called another one a jackass. He called his boss man a jackass, and he was trying to make a reference of the donkey in the Bible, but I'm not gonna go there. That's not where we're going. But here's where I'm gonna end up. The problem that we have in the country, my friends and listeners, we have yet to come to the realization that this government is not interested in the natural born citizen. Point blank. This government does not see us, regular born citizens of this country, as citizens of this country. We just existing on the land. What these people have done is sell the country. We must understand that. The lies, the innuendos, all these years, and nothing really come to fruition. And that's what most people like that do. What they will do, they will throw something to one local, two local, three local. You see, I'm helping these people. I'm helping my people. You're not helping your people because the masses of the people need help, not a few guys here and a few guys there. The most people who benefit from Dominica's resources, talking about the passport, the gravel, the macadam stone, whatever, mining, it's not people here. You have a massive project taking place. It goes to MNC, what's the name? What's the guy name?
Gadakan.
Yeah, I called one a while ago, Range, and the other one.
External companies.
Yeah, the one from Montreal. Then you have Gadikan. You have this one, that one, and everybody just ripping Dominica apart and picking it to the bones, while her children are there sitting, talking about what they see. But what you're not seeing is what's more important than what you see. The country is being sold from underneath your feet. What this gentleman is doing is now selling Dominica land to all kind of foreign interests. He's selling Dominica's resources to all foreign interests. Now, when they may be waiting for Chinese or somebody with some big pocket outside the country to give them, just open the water business for them, and they run it. And basically, what it is, a lot of us are in denial, and a lot of us are asleep. They say nothing comes to a sleeper but a dream. If you are asleep, all you got to do is dream. If you're wide awake and your eyes open and you're trying to see what's taking place and trying to make way and get inroads, you will understand what's taking place. From all I've been hearing on the radio, for all I've been reading online and listening to people from every angle, I heard a lady this morning in St. Martin on the other radio station talking about how nice Dominica is, how sweet it is, and how somebody in St. Martin telling her how this and how this government make it so good. And I'm saying to myself, is this woman listening to herself? Because if she's hearing herself, if the land of your birth is so refused. So what I'm saying, a a lot of us are not aware of what's taking place on our eight place. In Europe, America doing it. Now we ain't no telling where, Canada and everywhere. And then our people who have a Dominica passport is not just the ones who buy the CDI. A native person trying to travel, poor man trying to go from here to America to Europe, wherever, he's gonna run into problems because the action of a few make it bad for all. And these are the things that's taking place. And if they stop that money, I heard somebody said something last night on a show, and that made a lot of sense to me. That gentleman for Montreal, that's the Arab name, I don't know the man's name. That man, if he decides to take off with Dominica money when the passport business shut down and whatever, because it's only him and the finance minister in the way, just like that. Gentlemen, I rest my case here. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much for your.
Thank you.
Thanks for your contribution, caller.
So if you live in a glass house, stones, and if you can't take blows, brother, don't show blows. If you live in a glass house, don't throw stones, and if you can't take blows, sister, don't throw blows. Harm no man, let no man harm you. Do unto others as they would do to you. And to every ballhead, respect the Rasta man, 'cause he's the only man left on creation. And if you live in a glass house, don't throw stones.
But you see, we had some very great contribution so far. Very, very good
Absolutely.
contribution. And I do not know why we do not take some time. I mean, the rest of the communities take some time to reflect on what is happening. Look down the road and ask ourselves, are we heading in the right direction? 5 years down the road, right? Will we be in a better position than we are now based on what is happening? If our water continues to flow into the sea, nothing sustainable, no industry, good industry, even things like our wildlife, Steve. There is
the forestry issue is linked to the water, brother,
Right.
because you have to preserve your forests
Exactly.
properly to be able to ensure the sustainability of your water source. And you have two other issues there, brother Lita. How you do your agriculture is linked both to your forest and your water. Yeah? You talk about the next 5 years. We cannot continue on the path that we're on. And that is obvious. And our theory is the whole issue of feeder roads, brother Lita. But do you know the cost of irrigation for farming presently? When you have to hook up on a normal national Dawasco line. I have one of my very close friends who's involved in vegetable production, and his biggest cost is water. And so we have rivers flowing to the sea. We have excess water that flows out of tanks that Dawasco builds on the projects. And we cannot harness that water to ensure we subsidize our agriculture. The future of agriculture has to be subsidized in Dominica. And we have to develop a policy that addresses the irrigation of our farms. You have to give farmers a cap. You cannot charge them per unit. You have to charge them a flat rate. Give farmers $100 for water. I mean, my friend bill was $3,000 recently. You have to pay staff, you have to put in inputs, and just for water. So it means you cannot grow wealth as a farmer that is putting sweat, toil, and resources. And you have the water there flowing to the sea. Not a machine, that ensuring that water flows to the sea. Natural gravity.
No breakdown of machine.
You understand? So I mean,
breakdown of machine.
these are issues that the government can take up and take to Parliament and pass the proper legislative framework to regulate how you subsidize agriculture and ensure that water is...
And the funds,
the resources,
are available.
Yeah, exactly. The financing.
Right? You just take some of the CBI money, some of the CBI money.
It's there.
And rather than one man benefiting, selling passport and benefiting
and pocketing how many million before?
Right, you would have a group of farmers in a particular area, and they would benefit, especially if the assistance is not influenced by political affiliation.
That's right. And then you can address the issue of volume, because part of the problem with agriculture is you have a glut on the market and then you go to not.
Yes.
But if you can produce year-round, then you can keep a market regionally and even internationally.
All right.
I see we have a few more
caller,
calls.
thank you for calling. Good evening.
Hello.
Yes.
My line is okay?
Yes, we are hearing you right.
Steve and Mr. Letta, after you kill something, you would want to raise it up again?
You mean if it's dead, it's dead?
But they killed agriculture. The first thing they did was to kill agriculture. So you expect those people there to do anything against agriculture. That is what they don't want. They said, if it's not passport, then what?
How can you say that? How can you say that?
Right?
So where's the vision?
Free things that is being sold to go out of Dominica right now, as I always say, is passport, people, and parrots. They will not do nothing for agriculture because that's what they kill it dead. Itewe. Right. It's their passport, but I want to see what they're going to do right now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody. See, we have a lot of calls, so let's take them as they come.
Overseas.
Good evening, call overseas line. Thank you for calling.
Good evening, my brother Letta.
Oh, my friend, you just escaped from a demerit,
Before you even speak,
I was early. I tried to call already, but it didn't go through. So I listened to I there early.
Before you even
brother
speak,
Steve, good evening.
I want to congratulate the people of Salisbury for going to the polls today to elect their village council.
I want to hear the result now. I want to know what's going on myself.
Yes, you'll get the result maybe later.
Yeah, I wish them well and congratulate whoever the winner them be in advance.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but brother Letta, when you start the program, you said that, we need ways we can enhance our political and economical and physical, even spiritual affairs in Dominica.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take it right back.
Right.
Okay.
Brother Letta, you also said we're about 40, how many years of independence?
Yes.
78 to now is 44.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. But Brother Letta, that's me, Leroy.
You're breaking up.
We're breaking up. Okay. You were breaking up a little.
Brother Letta, I really believe we have lost our independence. And if you have to listen to Brother Afi, it will tell you that we attained political independence in 79, and as Brother Steve was saying, due to how the geopolitical system set up, our financial, our economical independence we would have to work hard to achieve our economical independence, but our political independence we attained it from Britain in 78.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
But brother, our political independence we lose it. Because tell you why.
Yes.
We're supposed to be living in a country, in a democratic country. Simply put, is a government of the people, for the people, and by the people. You cannot live out the people. The people has to have a voice. The people is the government, Brother Later. These guys are executive and they're honorable and they're ministers.
Yeah.
But we have, if we are politically mature, they are working for us. We, the majority of Dominica people, is who elect them. So the majority of Dominica people is the government, according to my little 2 cents. I'm not all that smart, so somebody might correct me. And Brother Later, that means you have to listen to the people. You're doing the people work. The people have to tell you what they want. You have to consult with them. You have to talk to them. You cannot be selecting a few and victimizing people because they don't support. Brother Later, that don't make any sense at all. And why say we lose our independence? Because our finance, Brother Later, we're supposed to put our priorities together to see what's our needs. How can we move and strengthen our people living conditions? How can we create jobs, grow the economy? How can we make life better for majority? Because you wouldn't be able to please everybody, but at least for majority. Brother Later, we haven't got that power. Because as we have said, the people them that in charge of the economic program, citizens by economic program, they are the ones that controlling the resources of the state, Brother Later, because agriculture is dead. Now you talk about the WTO. As I said before, when that ruling came out, Brother Later, all the European did is take off the preference, because our banana had preference because we were from
Breaking up.
So they were giving us preference. So when Bill Clinton and the rest of the guys, when they take it to court, they don't simply say, you know what, you ain't got no preference no more, everybody equal now. So once you have good quality and you can compete, you have good product, you can compete. And we could still compete because we have good product. And as I said before again, St. Lucia is still competing.
Yes, of course.
Yes, St. Lucia is still selling banana. But let us see how weak those guys be, right? After one of the hurricane, they order a lot of banana plants, give it to farmers. Brother Later, when it's time to harvest and the farmers bring out the banana, no market for it, you know.
Yeah.
Brother Later, we had a lot of cane. I remember as a little boy growing up in Salisbury, a lot of cane. Dominica used to make rum. Right? With a lot of copra. We used to make Belfast, that BCP. You understand? Barrel pepper. Christopher used to say, Salisbury people used to live big, Brother Later. Before Roosevelt Skerrit and his administration, even though they would have been in charge of government.
Sweet potato.
Of course.
I remember that.
So that is why I said we lose our independence in every aspect, politically, because you have foreigners running the affairs of the Labour Party. There's a guy from Barbados, Hartley Henry. Is they deciding what is good for Dominica? Brother Later, after one of the elections, I know you have heard that before. Hartley Henry up in Barbados and saying that the election in Dominica is a boost for the economy of Barbados. I mean, where does that happen, my brother?
I remember that, yeah.
You understand? These people have to understand we can have our differences. We can have our religions. Not all of us is Catholic. Some of us is Jehovah's Witness, some is Baptist. In a democratic country, you have the right. I will defend that right. We all cannot be Labour. We all cannot be UWP. We all cannot be freedom. We have a right. But at the end of the day, Dominica coming first. There are certain principles we all should agree on. We have to be fair. You cannot victimize somebody because there is a farmer or there is a carpenter or because you're not a lawyer. You haven't got a big last name like me, Shillingford or Nassif or. But those days gone.
Yeah.
You understand? So for us to get ourselves to bring that unity, we have to start with our democratic system, law and order. Everybody has to be treated equal under the law. You understand? The law cannot be for some and not for some. The resources of the country cannot. It's those issues that bring in the division, brother, later. Because some people eating till the belly burst, and another set, the belly sticking to the back. Brother, later, how can that be fair? Our national anthem say we have to be firm, but we have to be fair.
Okay.
You understand? You have to be honest. You're working for the people paying you. The law says the resources of the country has to come to the consolidated fund. Put the money in the consolidated fund.
Okay,
you have the majority, the eyes will have it, but the minority has to have their say.
Absolutely.
You understand? And those are the issues.
We're going to take a few more calls.
Right.
Yes. All right. Thanks a lot.
But very good. Very good contribution.
And something, brother, later I just get so aggravated, but I respect it.
You get carried away. I understand that. We understand that.
But thanks for this point.
But I must defend democracy because we have to. It is a certain principle. That's why I tell you, if we don't have a democratic state, we wouldn't have no union. That is why my first preference is the way of our living, the way of our life.
Yeah, and governance of
that is what they destroy. And once that destroy, law and order out, union out, political party out, is one of the brother later.
You're right. It's an important ingredient.
We will continue next week.
Thank you.
Yeah, it seems like we might have to continue that topic.
I'll be working on you. I'll be working.
All right. Let's take this one. Call a good evening. We'll have to continue with that particular topic. Next. Call a good evening. Thank you.
Hello.
Yeah, good evening, Brother Little, and good evening, Brother Steve.
Yes.
My brother.
I'm glad you all touched on this water program tonight. Brother Steve and Brother Little, do you know it's not only water from the river? We have two water wells in Dominica. We have one called surface water, and we have one called underground water, which is the source water. So Dominica should be a very wealthy country. We have surface water and we have underground water.
Yeah.
Thank you and good night.
And water is something people need for survival.
Of course.
So it's not a situation, that you're dealing with a certain brand of clothing and so on. And might say, boy, it might not. People must, and it's not. I mean, if there is one time you use the word must and shall, is when it comes to water. People must buy water.
Water is life,
and people shall buy water.
Absolutely.
All right. I think let's see. We have an overseas call.
Yeah.
And okay, the overseas call. The line has stopped blinking. So we take this one. Good evening, caller. Thank you for calling.
Yes, good evening. River Nika touching base. This is the real fireman from River Nika. Anyhow, I'm listening to the program and I find out to call because why? I always say water is life and water is the foundation of creation. But really and truly, I'm glad all black people can have a voice today because two things I love to say. I listen to the brother talk about the water. To me personally, he's not in my family, right? He has his family otherwise. I'll take in that term. But really and truly, to me, everything he said about the water, to me, that is very bright and perfect. I love that. Trust me. And not in our family, which is the Labour family. You know what I'm saying? But I love what he said. But what I find well and truly, I don't know what is the protest, what is the process whatsoever, but well and truly, we find now in River Nika, no, not every day our water clean, right? So, based on what he's saying, I don't know if we have to be storing the water in River Nika, then traffic it, rest wherever we traffic it. And what he's saying, I find is making a lot of sense. But I'd like to ask a question now. Concern about the CBI passport. Do River Nika, I don't call it Dominica, I call it River Nika. We are friends. No, I'm serious about it.
But we are losing the rivers, though.
I don't tell my island as Dominica. I bonfire up on that long time. I call it River Nika because we have 365 rivers, which means it's a rich island in the world. Nobody cares so because water is life, as I tell you. And I love the program. But eventually now, the CBI passport, as they call it, or CBI whatsoever, do River Nika selling CBI passport or River Nika have a program with the CBI passport? You there with me?
Yes, I'm trying to understand. Yeah.
Well and truly, as I tell you, I'm the Labour family because they're not a political party. They call it a Labour family. It's for everybody. The opposition members, whosoever. River Nika belongs to us. Me, as I tell you, see me, I love everybody in River Nika. Everybody have a voice. Everybody can be the same. You know what I'm saying? But when you get to certain things to defend the country and the people, instead of crucifying and trying to destroy and bring down. I love the interaction in a sense that you have an idea, we have a plan, and you bring it across. And if it benefits the country and the people, no matter who in charge, we're supposed to work with it, because by the end of the day, it benefits the country and the people, and I love that. You see what I'm saying? But what happening now in Rivernica now? The political come in a sense that it has some people now in Rivernica, even the same passport that's praying for it to crash. You know what I'm saying? It has some people that's getting money. I listen to you.
Yes, I mean, some people have tried to explain that what we're doing is selling citizenship, and the citizenship, how you get that citizenship is by selling a passport, and you're selling it, throughout the world. It depends on who your client is. There's a process, but that's what it is. And so I'm not sure what you're asking, but yes, we are actually selling citizenship, which means we are selling passport.
What I'm saying there, brother, I don't sell. I know what's selling. I know in selling, you have your money, you buy what you want, but I know that. As I tell you, I am the government side.
Right.
Yes, family,
that doesn't matter. That shouldn't matter.
Yes. I know that we have a program.
Right.
I don't know about selling passport. I don't know if maybe parties before was selling passport, but I know presently we have a program. You know what I'm saying?
So what are we selling under the program?
What are we selling the program? We're not selling a passport. We have a program for passport. As far as I understand, they say that if you have to get the passport whatsoever, you pay for the passport whatsoever, and you have a program that you could create something in the island whatsoever. I don't know if it's happening, but that's what I know. That's what I
No. You don't have to even come to Dominica to own a passport.
You don't have to come to Dominica.
You don't have to invest in Dominica.
Yeah.
The purchase of the passport is the investment. So the money you give,
some of it goes to
the government.
To the government, and some of it goes
stays with the agent.
To the agent who sells the passport. You understand?
I understand what you're saying, but what I'm saying there, as I say again, as I tell you, selling and maybe having a program is two different things. As far as I understand, me myself, big guy don't sell.
Okay.
I know when you're selling, you go in a supermarket or restaurant, you pick up what you want and you go.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I know it's a different.
I mean, it's just semantics. I mean, a fee is placed on that citizenship. Then that is what is happening. A fee is placed on the citizenship. Part of that money stays with the state, and the rest goes to the agent. And then the state now decides how it's invested. But part of the challenge is how you regulate those monies that come in under the CBI. And most people believe how it's regulated presently is not the most accountable way, that it doesn't come into the consolidated fund, which is what is required by law.
It doesn't go to the treasury.
That's right, it doesn't go to the treasury.
All right, caller. So I mean,
anyway, we have a few more calls. Yes.
Okay, no, but I mean, before I roll out there a little bit. So what you saying now? When the money come in, money going to other places, going to the treasury.
Right.
The money
some of it stays overseas. Yes, overseas. And escrow. Yeah.
As you call that, escrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, first of my
there's a lot of things people need to understand.
What I'm saying there, the CBI program to me is a very great program for our country.
Yeah.
But the problem I have that a lot of people who getting the benefit and getting everything from the program, they want to crash the program, and that is wrong, because at the end of the day, you crash here and you crash it. We have to take too much of the time. We have a good country, my love. We have a
we're not asking to crash the program. We were saying how best we can invest. Yeah,
please.
As far as I listen to the opposition leader and how many programs. I tell you what you tell me what you want. I don't want I listen to. I listen what I want to.
Okay.
Nobody, right? I listen to him in 60 minutes. I listen to him on how many programs, and I tell you personally for a fact, he is the one I want to crash the program. But remember, in 2017, he was the same person that make the revolution in Rivernica, where there's a big amount of problem in Rivernica.
But we're not talking about the opposition leader tonight, though.
I'll send you something.
Okay, caller, you need to.
Okay, so let's take a few more calls. Thank you.
I will long
and next week you can always call.
From the program, and it's not right to want to crash it.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for your contribution.
Fireman running, thank you very much.
Yeah.
We have to work in the morning.
Okay, good.
The problem about those things is not that people will crash the program.
Right.
There are certain things that may happen that will affect the program caller.
Correct.
Last week, Brother Steve, you may recall that I said with the CBI, if a country decide not to grant not to allow people from certain countries,
Yeah.
and we're talking about Russia,
Right.
to come to their country,
Yeah.
it is going to affect the revenue from the CBI.
Absolutely.
And then and I said so last week,
Yeah.
and we are hearing
But Vanuatu.
exactly.
So it has.
You know, Brother Steve, it's just
it
like
has started somewhere.
one day I entered the studio sometimes ago, just before Erica, and I said bold and clear that I was feeling very, very uncomfortable because my spirit was telling me
Yeah.
that something real bad is going to happen to the country.
Right.
And we all are going to be affected
Yeah.
by whatever it was.
Right.
And I also said that I was struggling as to whether I should say it
Or not.
or keep it to myself. And then that was Wednesday. And the Thursday,
Yeah.
we had Erica.
That's right.
And I said the same thing about the CBI. Because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you selling your passports to people from Russia, from this, from that, and whatever. Something may happen,
Yeah.
which is what has happened. We have Russia and Ukraine, they are at war.
Right.
And if those who are supporting Russia, the countries, decide that they want to put some restriction on Russians visiting their country,
Yes.
it's going to affect
Those
the
who are
sales of-
supporting Ukraine.
Exact-
Yes. Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
vice versa.
Absolutely.
So that is why you cannot rely
Totally.
on the sales of passport.
Correct.
All right, we have 9 more minutes,
And
so
we
we'll
have a
quickly
few
try.
more calls.
Yeah, we have a few calls, so we'll quickly try to take 1 or 2 more calls. Caller, good evening. Thank you for calling. Let's please be brief. We haven't got much time.
Yeah, good evening, Brother Little and Brother Steve. I'll try to be as brief as possible.
Yes, please.
I don't really need to come here. But, you know, sometimes when you hear something, you need to believe it well.
Caller, just make your point, please, so that we can see.
Yeah,
it.
because you see, I have been listening and I noticed a caller called.
Mhm.
2 callers called.
Yes.
One call, and he tried to insinuate that we had our Dominica money that's supposed to go to the consolidated fund. It is not in the consolidated fund. I noticed that you had no problem with that, which I know it is not correct.
So you are saying all funds from the sales of all funds coming in as a result of CBI goes to the treasury. You are saying that?
I am saying that the funds that goes from under the CBI, some of them are for investment purposes, and those that are for investment purposes under the Constitution, there's provision for funds that are due.
But all doesn't go to the consolidated fund, and that's the point.
No, Steve. No, that's not what it says. It is all funds that are not.
No. You are explaining no, but the point that all doesn't go into the consolidated fund is a fact.
No, but it doesn't have to go. It doesn't have to go because you have to understand.
But that's a
Steve.
separate argument.
No, that's not a separate argument.
Yes,
the
it
man
is.
is saying that as if that we have people, money that's supposed to be in the consolidated fund is not going there. That's the point I'm making.
But I don't want to dig into why this is important because then I have to then explain the framework of reporting to Parliament and accounting for all the funds that is meant for investment.
But you're responsible. You're a responsible organization, responsible for the representation of public servants. And if somebody is making a statement that is not correct.
It is not correct. It is not comprehensive.
But the fact is,
all the funds doesn't go in the consolidated fund. So we didn't have to delve into that.
And that is the point.
And that is you want me to explain, but we didn't bother to explain any details. Anyway, we don't have much time.
No, but you have to understand. There's a connotation that if it is not going there, it is wrong. That's my point.
Okay, caller. Thank you for your contribution. Thank you very much.
I know you're going to cut me off.
No, I won't cut you off, but I mean,
I know.
But you are playing semantics.
We can talk about that next week, God's willing.
Okay, but let me just say about semantics. Let me just say the one thing about semantics.
Yeah.
Semantics is what that bringing in those misinterpretations, and then you have to use semantics to correct it. Okay?
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, caller.
All right.
Okay. Caller, good evening. Thank you for calling.
What is Mr. Later? where you bought your patient, especially with this.
No, in this program, we give everybody a chance, my dear. We give everybody a chance.
He's doing that to hold up.
No, but we can also
have to exercise patience.
We can continue
Let
next
me
week.
tell you, all doesn't reach the treasury. Some stopping halfway, just like some did not. Some what the among that went in the garbage container. Thank you.
Thank you. Caller, good evening. Thanks for calling.
Good evening, Mr. Later.
All right.
Mr. Later, if you want to upset these characters, all you have to say is that the money from the CBI must and should be accounted for.
Right.
Whether or not it is legal or not, it should be. If it is not, the law should be changed and it should be accounted for. Parliament should have some kind of oversight
Absolutely.
over that money.
Absolutely.
Number two, they don't like to hear that they're selling passports. Okay, so we say, even if you're selling
Citizenship, still have to account.
It's the same story.
Still have to
Same
account.
story.
All
No
right.
matter what you call it, it's the same story.
All right.
And the money is going in places that we, the public, because it's our sovereignty, don't like to hear where it's going. We want to know where it's going. We want to know how much.
Thank you.
That is what's making them mad, and that's why they don't like the opposition leader. Thank you.
All right. We have 5 more minutes, and I'm going to take the overseas line. I'm going to give the person about 2 minutes, and then we round up. So please bear with me and understand the other people are here for the next program. So we give you 2 minutes, our final call for the evening. Caller, good evening. Thank you for calling.
Yes, Mr. Later, good evening to you. Good evening to your co-host, Mr. Steve. Mr.
2
Later,
minutes.
again,
Good evening.
I really want to thank you again for the information that you have disseminated there. For example, I heard a caller call just someone said that he's a Labour Party supporter or he supports the government. But really and truly, he's not aware or he's not in sync with what's going on with really the economic stability program. Again, that's what we are here for, to inform and educate these people that are uninformed. Later on another note now, what kind of leader that will say, if not passport, what? I mean, this man have destroyed all the productive sector in Dominica, Mr. Layton. When you tell me, a place like Dominica, you have to be importing vegetables from mainland USA, Mr. Layton. When is this crap going to come to an end? Until this guy is in power, Mr. Layton, Dominica is going to continue to go down the slippery road. Sadly, but true, Mr. Layton. I mean, this is my island. This is where I was born in spite of I migrated, but I mean, my heart always will remain in Dominica. But it hurts me to see the turn Dominica is taking the turn for the worst under these guys that are just self-enriching themselves. But I want to leave something with them tonight. I heard a caller call this morning and said she would like to order she want them to order a special casket for when they're going down 6 feet to put all the riches that they have stolen from the people.
Thanks, caller.
Thank you, caller. Thank you. Okay, I will see. I see.
1 minute.
1 minute for you, please. Go ahead.
Yeah, good evening, gentlemen.
Yes.
It's simple, you know. The logic is simple. It's a constitutional provision, you know, of law that all the monies must go to the consolidated fund.
Right,
and then from that, when it goes there, that's how you have the checks and balances on it. When it goes there, now, whatever the funding is for, you set up an account in the name of that project.
Yeah.
That's how
Okay,
it's
caller. Thank you very much.
All the funds have to be accounted for.
Yes, thank you very much.
That's the central point.
Yes.
Well,
So that's it for